and welcome to Literary Prospects, where we talk to authors and literary professionals about books, publishing, and the writing life. I'm Kelly Vick. I'm the host of the program, and in just a moment, it will be my pleasure to introduce today's guest. But first, a reminder that if you like what you hear, please do take a moment to subscribe. It helps us out, and you can make sure you never miss an episode. Also, we've opened a Literary Prospects shop, so if you're looking for bookish shirts, totes, and gifts, please check that out at literaryprospects.etsy.com. And to grab books featured on the podcast and check out more curated book lists, you can visit the Literary Prospects bookstore on bookshop.org. And last, but certainly not least, if you're interested in extra content on querying and publishing that's only for our members, please consider joining the Literary Prospects Patreon at patreon.com/literary prospects. We'll leave all those links below in the show notes. And now, let's introduce today's guest. Today, in honor of our 85th episode, we're going back through the archives to bring you advice for aspiring authors from 6 critically acclaimed authors of literary fiction. First up is Chelsea Bieker. Chelsea was on the podcast last summer to discuss her best-selling novel Madwoman, which was a Book of the Month Club pick hailed by the New York Times as brilliant in its depiction of the long shadows cast by domestic violence. Madwoman was also named Best Book of the Year by NPR, Oprah, Elle, and longlisted for the Aspen Words Literary Prize. Chelsea shared these thoughts for early career authors.
You really need to be your biggest fan. Like, I hear so much where writers are like kind of cutting themselves down or, oh, I'm not good at that, or I'm not, and really I would encourage writers to be like, no, like, believe in yourself. You better believe in yourself. I don't like, with all this rejection, with all of the no's that you are just going to get, no matter how successful you are, the most successful writers are still rejected for things. You can receive a rejection and win an award in the same day. I've literally had that happen where I get notice I won an award and 5 minutes later I'm rejected from a grant or something. Like, you just start to see that stuff actually does not matter. The only thing that really matters is that you are staying true to yourself and your work, that you're not like filling a hole in a marketplace or trying to even imagine that you can do that, because the way the marketplace works is so crazy and everything is out so long. Like, by the time you're done working on, your vampire book, we've moved on to dragons or whatever. Like, don't try to fit into a box that you think is there. It's really, really, really about cultivating that self-trust in your own work and your own impulses. I see also, maybe this goes hand in hand with that, where I see a lot of writers having like a ton of readers, like a lot of cooks in the kitchen. And I think that while reader feedback can be extremely helpful, and it's really good to have a few trusted readers for your work, when you start to invite too many voices in, I've never really seen it be helpful for anyone. And it's very easy to be like, oh, that person must know best. That person, oh, maybe I'll change that because they didn't like it. And if you start to do that, it just starts to degrade your own vision. And actually, your vision should be trusted. I think often, like, the work that needs to be done is figuring out how to, like, if you're getting feedback that's negative, it doesn't necessarily mean that that person's idea of solution is correct. It just means that you need to figure out how to do your thing better. And not let go of that, and really work on that self-trust and that self-confidence, because I don't know, it's like, if I wouldn't be putting work out into the world if I didn't think it was good. If I didn't love it, if I didn't read my own work and was laughing and having a great time, like, how could I expect someone else to enjoy it later? I just do believe that we can kind of take back that narrative of like the tortured writer, and a lot of the sentiment that writing is painful, writing is so hard, and just own it in a different way and really cultivate that self-trust.
Next up is Kimberly King Parsons. Kimberly was on the program last year to discuss her best-selling novel, We Were the Universe, which the New York Times called a profound, gutsy tale of grief's dismantling power. A National Book Award nominee, We Were the Universe is also ranked number 2 on Time Magazine's Best Books of 2024, named a Dakota Johnson Book Club pick, longlisted for the Joyce Carol Oates Prize, a New York Times Editor's Choice, and was a Best Book of 2024 in Elle, Time, Oprah Daily, Nylon, Marie Claire, and others. Kimberly shared this advice for aspiring authors.
So I think the biggest thing is I want to try to help writers come to their, within a project, the authentic voice of that project. And so what that means is not them writing towards what they think people want to read or the marketplace or whatever. Because again, like if I had told people years ago, I'm going to write a book about Texas motherhood and LSD or psychedelics, they would have been like, okay, like that's very strange. Like you have your own unique experiences. Like everyone has their version of Texas motherhood and psychedelics. It's something that lives in them. It's these things that they know about that have friction between each other, that are endlessly entertaining to you personally. It's figuring out what your subject matter is and figuring out your project, and then developing an authentic voice to accompany it. And so in my case, because I write fiction, it's always character driven, and it's always paying attention and listening to the syntax of a narrator, which tells me their class, it tells me their outlook on life, it tells me their personality, like just those syntactical choices. And every project is going to be different, but just really focusing on what the story that only you can tell, because there is the story that you're the only one in the whole world who could ever tell it because of your precise DNA and your precise experience and all of your enthusiasms and your obsessions. They will come out, but you have to pay attention, and you can't let the marketplace or some idea of what you think you should be writing dictate the work itself.
Samuel Kolawole was on the show last year to discuss his debut novel, The Road to the Salt Sea, which received the 2025 Whiting Award for Fiction, was a 2025 Penn Hemingway Award for Debut Novel finalist, was longlisted for the 2025 Aspen Words Literary Prize, and was a 2024 International Book Awards finalist. Samuel says you need more than talent to make it in the literary business.
I said something, I think it was doing this, there was this interview with Writers Digest. I said, talent is never enough. You know, there's this debate about, you know, I don't know if you've had that before. Oh, can writing be taught, or can it be?
Yeah.
Yeah. In my opinion, I think it's a useless debate because there are things that can be taught. There are things that can only be caught, you know. So there are things that you can teach, obviously, and there are things that just come naturally. But there's a way, but whatever happens to you as a writer, you need to stay on course, like keep focused and be tenacious. Don't give up. Several things will happen to you that will make you want to give up. That's the truth. It's a very, very difficult industry, highly competitive. And especially writing fiction is so subjective sometimes. But that doesn't mean you should not hone your craft, because a lot of people say, oh, writing is so subjective, but they don't actually know how to tell a story. You know, learn, keep learning, don't ever stop learning, but don't give up. You know, don't give up. You'll be rejected so many times. You'll be rejected a lot. You know, but a time is going to come, someone will say yes to you. And then that is going to begin, that's going to start something new in your life and in your career. I remember the first yes I got. That was uh, December of 2010. That was the first yes I ever got, you know. And before then, people had been saying no to me. No, 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 no. I was just in Africa. I was like, small boy
Mhm.
from Africa. And then I got that yes. It was a journal in Michigan very many years ago. This is how many years ago? Almost. Yeah.
14? Yeah.
So 14 years ago. And the interesting thing was that after that first yes, I started getting yeses after that.
Mm.
It was as if a dam broke, you know,
Mhm.
and then the yeses started rolling in. So for some people, it might not even happen like that. But what
Mhm.
I'm saying is that you need to be persistent to keep doing it, keep improving. Because while you are waiting, you have to keep owning your craft, keep improving, keep, getting better.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, don't give up.
Next up, Marcy Dermansky. Marcy is the author of the critically acclaimed novels Hurricane Girl, Very Nice, The Red Car, Bad Marie, Twins, and Hot Air. She's received fellowships from McDowell and the Edward F. Albee Foundation. And she says when it comes to writing, there's no time like the present.
It's really just to not wait for the perfect time. You know what I mean? Like not like if you really want to write, like you could start, maybe not today. You can start tomorrow and you can really just start. Um just not to put too much pressure on yourself and to not wait until you have the perfect desk and the perfect office or even inspiration, not to wait for inspiration. Like if you really know that you want to write, you just have to sit down and do it. And there's a writer whose name I don't remember. She wrote this terrific essay that was literally like, wrote my first novel in 15 minutes. And so if you're really scared of writing, which I think all writers are, is to say, okay, today I'm going to sit down for 15 minutes and I'm going to write. And you can do that. Like, that's not that scary. And most of the time, anybody who sits down to write for 15 minutes is probably going to write for 20 minutes or 30 minutes. 15 is so short. But I would just say to any aspiring writer, there are so many things you could do. Like, I do think you should take a class. I do, all of the things. But I think literally it's just to do it and not wait for the perfect thing. Like, don't. There are all these like great summer writing things. There's so many things. If you get that, that's great. Like I've had so many good writing experiences. I love going to writers' things. I'm going to Curtis Sindel does reading tonight at Montclair and I'm going to go and I know I'm going to enjoy it. I love that. And I find it inspiring. And I think all of that's good. But the main thing is just starting.
John Hickey came on recently to discuss his acclaimed debut novel, Big Chief, which was named a most anticipated book of 2025 by the Washington Post, Debutiful, San Francisco Chronicle, Los Angeles Times, and LitHub. John was also named a Publishers Weekly Writer to Watch for spring 2025. But, as he explained, his success didn't come overnight. He had to be patient.
I think I always settle on patience. And it's not, I don't think it's great advice necessarily. I'm trying to figure out a way to phrase it as advice, like go learn to be patient, because it's not something that you can just like learn how to do. You can't just, pick up a book and all of a sudden become a patient person. It takes years. And it took me years. When I was in graduate school and when I was a Stegner Fellow, I was very impatient for things to happen. And I was impatient for things to happen because I didn't know what I was doing afterwards. After the fellowship life, after grad school life, real life, quote unquote, real life. So I was very impatient for, to get a book out there in the world, which is not an advantageous place for the book, because you're writing the book for a different reason, other than creating this story. You're writing it to get a job. And I think that I was just very impatient with it. but what happened was life happened. I met my wife, and we built a life together, and I did other things, and I allowed the book to take as long as it needed to take. And again, that's not something I could have taught myself way back when.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it would have been very comforting to say that to me at 30 years old. I was like, oh, you just got to be patient. I don't know how I'd react to that. But it's just the truth. It's just the truth. These things take as long as they take. And everybody's on their own writing journey. And, don't compare yourself. Don't feel like you have to hit the milestone by 35, or 40. This book came out. I'm 44 right now. Mm. And I started my MFA when I was 23 years old. And that doesn't really mean anything. That's what I found.
Yeah.
It happens. It happens when it happens, if you stay with it.
Cynthia Weiner stopped by a few months ago to discuss her celebrated debut novel, A Gorgeous Excitement, which has been featured in The New Yorker, Town and Country, Oprah Daily, and People magazine, among others. Cynthia gets the last inspiring word on today's show.
Keep reading as much as possible. Just keep going. Take yourself seriously, but not too seriously, maybe. And just believe that you have something to say that nobody else can say it in the way that you can say it. I think I told myself that a lot while I was writing my book. I just kept telling myself, I have something to say, and it took a while to figure out what I had to say. So I think that's part of the writing process also. But that I had something to say about, being the child of a depressed person. I had something to say about, unrequited love or crushes on boys or all those, various themes in the book that I had something to say about it that no one else could say, not because I'm so special, just because I've lived a different life than anyone else has, and everyone has, every writer has. So to think of it that way, that you have something to say and spend time figuring out what that is. Give yourself the space and the grace to figure out what it is you have to say and what it is you want to say.
Thanks for joining us on Literary Prospects. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review. We'll see you next time.